if you're wired into it and you see it as it's a game. If you see it as a fun game, it's great. And then if it starts stressing you and you're running too fast, you feel a bit out of control, then it's not so great. But for a long time, we had fun. It was fun.
Welcome to this another episode of Pints of View here in the Cavendish and New Cavendish Street in London's West One with myself, Gary Goldsmith, as your host. And today I've got the wonderful Mr. Darren Ryemill. So before we start anything, cheers, brother.
Cheers, Gary.
Non-alcoholic. Shame, innit? Such a shame. With Darren, with all of my guests, I've written you a poem to break the ice for people to know you before I give you a formal introduction.
Go on.
Strap in. I've just been told by an executive producer, is on day release, I need to go slower. Darren Ryemill, a name that shines bright. From Bristol's heart to the world's limelight, a recruitment entrepreneur, Opus his domain. He's carved his path to financial gain. A digital TV star, he's graced the screen with charisma and flair, a captivating scene, a secret millionaire, an episode to behold. With wisdom and kindness, his story unfolds. Tech investor with vision so clear, supporting innovation year after year. Boss of Hapstar, a company going. It's that guys.
Come on, he's a boss of hamsters. He's a boss of hamsters.
Okay, right. Boss of Hapstar, a company doing good. Not bad for a ginge from the hood. A Chelsea fan, his heart's true blue. A bridge regular, even though we're poo. Smart and savvy, I'll give you my mate Dazzy. Literally, I didn't see hamsters coming into this today, but now it's in my head.
Featuring on this.
A boff of hamster. Oh. Fuck's sakes. I'm sorry about that. Hello, mate. That was my attempt. All right. The bits that went well, I wrote. The bits that didn't go well, we're playing ChatGPT. Right. So, for those of you who don't know this absolute legend, a true, brilliant recruitment entrepreneur, somebody who's managed to do what so few do: get out young, get out early, get out well, get out with a load of cash, and then define yourself, and then go on a different journey in terms of tech. I'd love today, if we could, talk about your journey into recruitment and then out of recruitment. And there's a few epiphanies and moments in time. You spoke to the Ideal Super Pirates about this, and it was absolutely captivating. And I've mentioned it many times about that moment when you saw your business and you kind of find yourself, you know, who am I? What am I? What's my purpose? And what that meant to you, and how you took this Hapstar idea and took it out into the wide world. And now you're my daughter's boss.
Well, yeah. Well, she's my boss, Gary. So, but you know well enough to know she doesn't have a boss.
Well, what she does have is opinions. And yeah, she certainly has many of those. Love you, Lula. Can we talk about the formative years? So how did you, post school, how did school go? Post school, what did you do? And take me on this bit by bit journey of getting into recruitment, because obviously, you know, we always want to get in recruitment when we're at school. We always fall in, right? It's just like that thing you fall in. It's like, oh my God, that you just do this and you get paid that. Oh, so that's where we want to get to. How did you get there, mate?
Well, thanks, Gary. You've been too nice on the introduction. It's kind of like I've got a lot to live up to now, mate. So, where from? Like school or what?
How did school go?
I love school. I was a really happy kid. I sort of like, my mum used to say I was just smiling. She used to think I had some sort of problem because I was like running around with a massive smile on my face. But I was like,
you got an F.
I was obviously never the brightest, but I thought I did all right. And I did, so I got decent grades, did my A-levels, and then went to university, did manufacturing, engineering and commerce. And I don't really know why I took those subjects, just ended up, I did 2 degrees at the same time, which was like quite unusual, double honours, which sounds really impressive. When my mum tells everybody that, but the reality was it was just, you could double up on some modules and, you know, anyway, so I ended up coming out with 2 degrees. And then I went to work so all the way through like school, uni, and whatever, I used to work in on the checkouts at Tesco, and I used to push trolleys around Tesco car park, and I used to clean cars, and I used to do all of
that
the
bloke on car share. was that you?
That's right.
With the
Yeah.
top off.
It was like my kids love it. My kids sort of like think it's great. Sort of like we go to Tesco's now, and sort of like they're like, Dad, you can't do your job anymore because you've got the chains on the trolleys. So it's like, but yeah. So and then I always worked, and I always loved working. I did. I really used to. I used to make games out of everything. Like everything was a game for me. If I was on the checkout, I'd be like, how quick can I get this person shopping through, or can I guess the price of what the shop's going to be, or how the trolleys, can I get this area of the car park cleaned up? Or when I used to had a job where I was cleaning changing rooms for like on a weekend, sports changing rooms, and it's for a little bit of popularity. It was literally shit. You can imagine, like, you get 30 rugby players go into, or more, you go into the changing rooms, and you don't want to see those toilets after. But, and this is the thing, it was horrible. It's disgusting in there. But because I'm like just lucky, I guess, that I can make things into games, I'd be like, right, how fast can I clean this changing room? And I'd be like, so I'd set myself records. So I was literally cleaning toilets, cleaning changing rooms, but it was a game. So I used to enjoy it, which is, I know I'm an idiot. So
I think that's genius, right? So were you paid a fixed amount to do the job?
yeah,
So the quicker you do it, the more you're earning an hour.
Yeah, so I just
exactly how I think about
get in, and I was like, well, why take 20 minutes if you can do it in 2? Yeah. And so I was like, rush as fast as I can, and anyway, so that was the journey. And then I worked at Rolls Royce, graduate trainee. That's when for the engineering degree, and I got in there, and it was, and I went around different departments in the customer service department, customer support it was called at the time, I think, and I worked on the Joint Strike Fighter project, which is the new aircraft at the time, the engines they were making for that. And
that was like pre-Typhoon.
Yeah, well, the Joint Strike Fighter was the Harrier replacement. So it's like that, so it's a really, really cool thing. And this was the thing. So it sounds really cool, and I just hated it. I hated it because it was just, you're working on this really grand sounding project, but you're doing this. You're calculating the nuts, how often you need to change the nuts and bolts on the engine or whatever, how long each part has airtime or usage. So you're such a small cog in a big machine, and
such a small bolt in a really big plane.
Yeah, it's like, and you sort of, I go to work some days and I think it literally doesn't matter what I do. That's not good. So I could never connect it. I liked the idea of it, and I liked it's cool. So you work on airplanes, cool.
Were you any good working on manuals? Like, so you have to do this, or you have to do, so you couldn't have any flair, or it was.
No, it was, so I was like doing a lot of writing in the man. So one of my actual jobs was we had to go through and rewrite and check some of the testing manuals for the engines they use on the Hawk aircraft. It's like, yeah, it's like, and it just wasn't me. Let's put it that way. And I just, and in the end, I left there. It's like I actually took redundancy, which was a good thing. Then I went to then I set my own company, an events management company, an idea that I'd had at universities, organising some black tie events and stuff. Did it for about 6 months, and I earned more money in that 6 months than I had at Rolls Royce in the equivalent time. But I woke up one day and I was like, I don't have any sales pipeline. I have no sales experience, and I was like, I don't have a pipeline. I've got no events coming on for the next 3 or 4 months. Shit, I've got a mortgage and a wife at the time. I was like, I can't afford this. I have to get a job. And then that's when I went into recruitment, because I went along to the recruitment company and I said, hello, you got any jobs? And then, have you ever thought about being a recruiter? And I was like, no, obviously not. That is shit. And recruitment was really kind to me. From the first month I was in recruitment, it was kind to me, and I loved it. And it kind of, you see a lot of people try and they don't.
What resonated?
Well, whereas at Rolls Royce I felt that whatever I did didn't matter, in recruitment I felt like whatever I did really mattered, and it immediately benefited me to the extent that what I do today I'm going to get paid on in the paycheck that's coming. And like, for my little brain, this was brilliant. This was talking about how I love games. This was the greatest game of all. I was like, what can I do now? How can I? And I've always been big on KPIs, not because I'm like KPIs for KPI's sake. And I hate people that even think that you would do that, because I'm just like, how stupid, why would you do that? But I knew that what I put into it, you know, was going to return something out of it. And I liked the security of the numbers. I like to be able to think, well, I know if I send 20 CVs, then I've got to get some interviews, whatever my ratio was. And if I get some interviews, I've got to make a placement. So all I've got to do is get some CVs out. I've got to get some, if I get 5 jobs on, I know I'm going to have one that I can dominate and place. So it's just, I loved it.
See, I love that. I worked for Thorny in my data cell as a computer operator, and there was a manual for everything. And I spent all my time working out which parts of the process weren't required and how could I get to the end quicker. And I was so shit at it because I broke everything, ruined machines, ruined jobs, ruined work. I mean, I got pay rises and promotions every 3 months because they liked me, but I was so shit at it. And in recruitment, I worked out that if you could get to the end really quickly, you just made more money. So everything that I've been trying to do before worked. So on contract, well, why do we need CVs? Why do we need interviews? Can't I just rely on some really brilliant lyrics to say, okay, you need one of these. Okay, I'll get one started in the morning. Right? It's like, isn't that easy? And I just thought, so you're very similar. And I think there is a similar mindset to people who are brilliant at recruitment, who are just trying to cheat.
Well, yeah, well, I think that's it. You kind of just play the numbers to some degree, but you are trying to achieve this with the least amount of work. You know, you're not trying to make work for yourself. So when you talk about you need to make 70 phone calls a day or 100 phone calls a day, you're not doing it because you get to fly a flag that says I made 100 phone calls today or something. It's like, I know that if you make that, one of those is going to be good. So give yourself that chance. And look, there's some people that are just so good at recruitment. Right? A friend of mine, a guy called Matthew Thornton, and he worked at Opus. And he's just the best sales guy I've ever known. He's just absolute chocolate on the phone. This guy, he's like, he'd do nothing. He'd do nothing.
Sweet like chocolate.
He'd do nothing all month. And then he'd just pick up the phone and he'd make 3 placements in a day. And I'm like, what the hell?
Why didn't you do that every day?
But he's like the loveliest guy, funniest guy. But he was really talented. And I didn't have that talent. This is the fact of it. I didn't have that talent. I couldn't just make it magic like he could. So I knew I had to feed the machine, and that was it. And I knew that was my way of winning. I wasn't graced with this beautiful charm that I could see in some others. So I was like, just feed the bloody machine and get it going.
I think you're overly humble. But what gave you the confidence to go, I could do this?
Well, so I've always been.
Because working in a team is one thing, working around good people is one thing, but then having the chutzpah to, you know, put the cock on the block and go, I'm going to have a go at this.
I've always been somebody that likes that. I like being uncomfortable. You know, I like being outside of my comfort zone. I get a bit excited. I feel excited in that space. And it's a really terrible example, but if you're in a pub and it kind of kicks off a bit, I get a bit excited. You know, some people are like, oh, and I'm just like, oh, you know, whereas like some people are like scared. And it's a similar thing in like the working environment. When you take that chance and you're out there and it's a bit scary, some people see it as fear. Like when you're going on a roller coaster, some people are like, oh, I don't want to go on, I'm scared. And some people are excited. And I'm very fortunate that I've just see it as excited. So, and I've always kind of been a bit deluded. I've always kind of like believed in backing myself. I really don't think I've ever asked anyone for anything in all my life. And I've never wanted anything from anyone. So
I bet if I spoke to your mum, she's something totally different.
Little shit.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned roller coaster, being slightly out of your comfort zone. Every time it all kicks off, you're feeling excited. Hence a Chelsea fan, right? Because that's our life as a Chelsea fan. So, how many years had you been in recruitment before you took the plunge?
What, to set by myself? Yeah. 2 years. I was at S3 for a year. I think we just crossed over. You wouldn't have known me. I was like a little junior trainee, but you were there. You were at your absolute best at the time.
I had binoculars. I could see the ants.
But and so I was at S3 for a year, and then
who's your boss?
So I had Sally Woods was in Bristol. She was a progressive. And Sally Woods was brilliant. And I had James Gorfin in my office, and James Gorfin and Simon Giddins, and they were good. And we had some really good people in that office, and you look back and it was only a small office. There's maybe at times there's only maybe 10, 15 of us or whatever, but there's good people. I mean, Gorf was a machine. He was a machine, right? And he let everyone know he was a machine, but he was great. And to have him in your office, it was like having a superstar in that
But it's worth mentioning though. So let's assume that every one of the S3 brands were equally powerful. If you put Computer Futures, how many brands were in Bristol at the time? So there was CF, Progressive.
Yeah, we had Pathway. Was Pathway what?
Yeah. I think Real were there.
Maybe, yeah.
So if we say 4, and each one of them with 10, 15, 20 people, let's say 15 as an average. Now we're 60 people from one, family of brands fighting for the same work in that community. It's very hard for anyone to come in, and if you own S3 as a brand, it's very hard for a business to compete against that machine because everyone's working so hard.
What a business! I mean, what a big. I don't know anyone in recruitment, whether they come from an S3 background or not, that can't just dot their hat to S3 and just go, do you know what? Those boys did it. They really did it. They were the standard bearer. They may not have been the biggest, because obviously you Reed or Hayes or Deco, whatever like that.
We made more money.
Yeah, but that's it. But wow, they
grew faster.
And it was fun. And you felt like you were alive there. And I really did. I loved it. But then a year in, kind of, I started to feel frustrated because it was a meritocratic business, and I felt that I've always had sort of leadership tendencies or skills, and I wanted to be a team leader. I didn't even know why I wanted to be a team leader, but that sounded important to me at the time. And there were people ahead of me, just because they'd been there longer or whatever. And anyway, so an opportunity came up. So I went somewhere else and got a pay rise, like a lot of people do, got a pay rise. And I went to this place, and after about a month, one of the top biller there, guy called Simon, lovely guy, he turned around to me, and because I was being me, I was wow, I'm like a maniac, so doing all the phone calls, doing whatever. And he was like, Darren, he goes, let me just tell you something. He goes, if S3 is like your running shoes, he said, we're a bit more like your slippers here. And I'll never forget it. And I looked, and I was like, oh, all right. And then so I was going through, and it was the time when Beckham was being called Golden Balls, and my boss David, he used to call me Golden Balls, and it was great. And I think he meant it nicely, not in some sort of gingerist kind of way. And he, and then I looked at one day and I thought, no one else is doing anything. I'm literally, I'm top of the board or whatever. But because it's like I've scored 30 goals in the Scouts League or the Cubs League, I was and I was just like, I kind of got a bit frustrated. And I thought, you know what, just do it yourself, Darren. And I think when I first set up, the honest truth is that there was as much of it was about lifestyle. I had this image in my mind I can remember. Wouldn't it be nice to be on my laptop on the beach, doing working from the beach? So very much a lifestyle kind of influence there, or a thought process. That lasts about 10 minutes, because as soon as you own the business and you've got these things, it's like a drug, isn't it? It's it's just more and more and more and more.
And also you get distracted. Well, I'm chasing money. I've got to change the terms of business. I've got to look at all that stuff. So all the things that were taken away from you in a big enterprise, and then suddenly it's you put a broom up your ass and you're sweeping the beach that you're on. It's really hard to get your mindset as to running a business as opposed to being in it.
Completely. And I get so many phone calls. I mean, Opus has spawned so many recruitment brands, brilliant businesses. Some of them are brilliant people doing brilliant things. And I'd meet up with them. They're like, Dad, we had no idea. We had no idea how hard it was. We used to moan about you. We used to think you were a right dickhead. And I'm like, yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's tough. And I'm like, you only got 30 or 50 of these people. We had 300 or whatever it was. It was great. And I loved it.
But you grew fast. But you did some really clever things. So rather than actually buy businesses, you pulled out top teams and top people with a couple of staff.
Yeah, we did. With a few times we got kind of lucky with certain teams. We could sort of tap them up, and what I've always been good at, I think, Gary, where I blow my own trumpet, is I I believed in what we could achieve. I really did believe. So when I was speaking to people, I was authentic. I was like, we're going to rule the world. And I felt we were, because my mind was gone. I was like, and that sort of like that, I think, I think that just rubbed off on people. And then people were like, oh, okay, I'll come. And then you get a bit of a positive, and it's like, so you get a bit of a positive energy. People are like, well, what's going on there? Why are people going there? And then get more come, and it's more, and before you know it, you're like, wow, look at this. And so, we were on the Virgin Fast Track 5 times, which only Brewdog, of all companies, as long as the Virgin Fast Track went, only Brewdog were on it more times. And that's what I'm really proud of. That's massive. That wasn't an easy achievement. I mean, look, we're clearly not the biggest company in the world, but we're.
I think it's credit to you because you didn't settle. Because a lot of people just basically get to a certain point and think, oh, this is pretty nice here. I quite like it here, and start taking an extra couple of days off here and there.
Yeah.
You were always driving for more. And I think I do think it's a criticism of a lot of people when they settle, they're happy. What about all these layers of people who haven't actually reached their goal, their potential, their ambition? And that's when good people start leaving.
Exactly, and that can happen for some people. That can happen when you've got a business of 3 or 4 people. I've got friends I know, and they've got good businesses. They're never going to go anywhere because fundamentally the person at the top's just happy. And you do need some kind of drive. And sometimes it's a negative drive. Sometimes it's a positive drive trying to take you in a direction. But you need some kind of drive. And I think that, again, for me, that whole game, that whole gamification of life, and I forgot about this for a long time, actually. I stopped playing at life, and it just took stuff a bit serious, stopped having fun. But when we were good, it was just a game. It was the most fun. And money was the best scoring system anyone could put in front of me. And I've never thought money was important. I really don't. Still to this day, I'm like, no, there's hundreds of other things I'd take above money. But it's a scoring. It's like goals. It's like 1, 2. It's like runs in cricket. Dum, 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 dum.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. How many runs did we score today? How much money did we make today? And it gets you, and you're like, whoa. And if you're wired into it and you see it as it's a game. If you see it as a fun game, it's great. And then if it starts stressing you and you're running too fast, you feel a bit out of control, then it's not so great. But for a long time, we had fun. It was fun.
And tell me about Amy, because there's I think it was a really bold move. It was a very different move. How did Amy come about, the whole gig with her effectively with pushing you sideways? Or
yeah, well, first thing is, I'll talk about Amy in a second. I think we needed change. We needed change in the business. I was becoming tired, and I could feel it, and I was starting to become a bit grumpy. I used to love my staff. I did. I loved them, and that doesn't mean I didn't upset people, and I don't mean that people didn't fall out with me sometimes. And there's probably people out there that will tell you what a dickhead I am because I didn't do something right, and I made mistakes, obviously. But I was feeling it, and the business felt a bit tired, and it was kind of we became a bit. We
stopped growing.
No, we hadn't stopped growing, but it was developing it was becoming a bit too a caricature of itself, in the sense of we started finding pockets of male dominated sales teams, and that all had a pub culture or this culture or whatever, and that was great. Don't get me wrong, on the journey up there was a lot of really positive stuff about the culture, but it just started feeling a bit
clicky.
Yeah, not right all of a sudden. Anyway, so I was struggling because for the first time people weren't just coming with me. I was like, come on, guys, and I was like, where's everyone coming? What's going on? You have a few of your guys with you, and then there'd be. And I thought, do you know what? The actual moment where I knew I needed to do it, I was sat there in a meeting room. We had somebody from, there was the bank where I think the bank had 3 people. We had the HR director was in there. With the accountant, and I think it was 2 accountants in there. The external accountant and our accountant. We had a lawyer, or whatever else we had in there. And they were all talking, and I was looking out the window, and I was just bored. I was the most bored person on the planet, and I was just like, "What?
What was it? The board?"
It was just a board meeting. We're talking about, and I was bored. I was just like, they were all talking, then they go, "What do you think, Darren?" I was like, honestly, I haven't listened to any of this. And I was like, Dad, this is something you should be, there was a time when I've been so engaged and I'm looking at the bloody window and I thought, Dad, this is on a slippery slope now. And I had to be honest with myself, like, am I gonna suddenly get this magic and love back? And at the time I was going through my first divorce, which was starting to take a really kind of bad toll on me, actually. And anyway, and then I met Amy. And so actually, I wrote down, whether you believe in manifestation and all of this is call me a whack job.
Right,
but
talk about the secret.
But I always like, I want, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but ideally I wanted a feminine leader. I wanted that. We needed to get rid of some of the boys brigade stuff that was starting to seep in. It had never really been there before.
Yeah.
And I wanted somebody who had a consulting background. I wanted somebody who had ideally sold recruitment business. It was the most ridiculous wish list. I was like, ideal. And then I met Amy, and we got on, and she's like mega smart, Cambridge, like university. She'd worked in Deloitte's strategy team where she was going to be, and this was so important for us because I had a group of mates.
She worked for the Lizard.
Lizard was
James Carr.
Yeah, and she packaged up and sold one of his businesses for, I don't know if I'm going to say the number. It was a big number, and so she had done everything that was on my list, and she was bringing this new energy. And the first thing she said, I said, Amy, come on in. I said, we need you, and she was a bit like, what? No, why? And she actually said, Darren, knowing you, she said, I come into the business. She said, and this business doesn't feel like it's you. It doesn't feel like it's your energy. I said, I know. I said, that's what I'm feeling now. I said, for ages it did. And now I just lost something. There's little things starting to seep in. Anyway, so she come in and she was like, we always wear a shirt and tie. She was like, that's going. I'm like, what? No, we wouldn't want to do recruitment if we're not wearing shirt and ties. You've lost your mind, Amy. And anyway, and she changed a few things. And I said to her right at the start, I said, look, this is your gig now. You're the CEO, you make the decisions, you make the choices. I said, the only time I'll ever overrule you will be if I sack you. I said, that is it. You knock yourself out. And I said, I'll give you my opinion and you can ignore it, but at least listen to it, and then make a decision.
Did you get involved in the strategy of where the business was going?
So I was always there. Always there. And quite frankly, I mean, look, Amy had to ruffle a lot of feathers because it needed change. It did need change. We sold one bit of the business. We had a company called Baltimore Consulting Group, brilliant business. And then Charmaine, who runs it, is now doing really well. But they did a management buy. It didn't align to what the direction we wanted to go in. That cost us 10-15 million of our turnover. When that was a bang. Amy was like, no, don't fit, sell it. And I'm like, it's 50 million quid. And anyway, and so there was a lot of decisions that she could only make, I think, because she'd come in with fresh eyes. She didn't have loyalty to people, or 3 years ago we made this decision, so we're going to stick by this decision. She was like, what the fuck are you doing that, you bellend? Stop doing that, And so, Anyway, so and she's brilliant. She's
so did you become chair at that point? No,
because I felt I'm not a chairman. Chairman's like an old person, like a chair. And Opus doesn't need a chairman. I'm a bit like, call me. I'm quite simple, Gary. I'm like, when we set up Opus, I was a director because you had to be a director at Companies House. And the only reason that any time I became the managing director was when we got other directors, when Nigel and Ryan got promoted into those director roles. So I was like, well, I'll need to be managing director. And the only time I come CEO was because we put somebody in as the managing director. Oh no, that was it. No, we brought in Ian O'Dare, who was a COO of a business. So he wanted a COO title, and I was like, well, I should probably go to a C title. And I don't like job titles. And when you see these bellends and they got 3 people in their company and like, I'm the founder and chairman and CEO, I'm like, what? It's like, tosser.
I think I've got one of those.
but I get it. Some people like that, and they might need that to function, and it gives them a certain way of thinking or something. But I didn't. you know, and so that,
So how did you give her support? So how much time were you spending? Were you there? Did you give her space? Were you on the end of a phone?
So I think I gave her a lot of support. She'd probably tell you I was useless, but no, I was there. I was still active. But it enabled me. This is a good thing about Amy, actually. So she said to me, so Darren, how do you see your role now? Now I'm the CEO. How do you see your role? I was like, and me being a romantic, I was like, well, what I think I'd like to do is I'd like to be like a butterfly. So I can fly around. I said I can land on different parts. Yeah, I love butterflies. Are cool, aren't they?
Butterflies changed the world, because a butterfly that landed on an elephant, they changed it.
And I was like, yeah, you can land on different parts of the business, and I can just do some good there and kind of pollinate it, and you know, link things up and whatever. And that's what I want to do. And she's like looking at me, and she goes, and how much does a butterfly get paid? And she didn't give a shit about the romance of my idea of what I want. She just, what do I put on my spreadsheet, and how much have I got to put next to you? And then, and it was brilliant. And now that is Amy, you know, she was, yeah. And I think that was that sort of like, and we had that, and we had a good balance, you know. So I could romanticize.
Did you fall back in love with the brand?
Well, do you know what? I was tired, and I you know, I was having some like mental health problems. I went to the doctor, and this through the time of a divorce, and he said that you're suffering from very severe stress, anxiety, depression. He was like, do you ever think about killing yourself? I'm like, all the time. I was like, should I?
And how should one do it?
Get some good advice. And so I was in a spot where I needed to. I just didn't have it in me. Like, that's the honest truth. I could contribute, and I could help, and I could be a supporting actor, but I was I couldn't carry the company like I once did. I just didn't have it in me, and I knew that. And it was quite obvious, I think, to anyone who had a brain in their head that my behaviours had changed, you know.
So can I just say thank you for your honesty, because that's the stuff that you're such a humble guy, but you're so impressive, and it's that dichotomy that makes you perfect and a genius. Before we move on to this whole mental health thing, because that's the journey that you're currently on, if you were to summarize, because I think a lot of people look back and, you know, we've just thrown out some numbers there. There are a lot of people going to go, Opus did what? How big? You were growing at what speed? And then you just got a little bit tired about it, right? People are going to go, wow. What are the things that you think you'd nail to the wall and say, that's what made Opus really special? Because I think you're very visionary, where you give it purpose, you give it, you know, it means something. If something doesn't mean something to you, fuck it off.
We were mates, and we fought for each other. We fought really hard for each other. We had a culture which was like just positive, you know. We wanted to achieve something, and we all knew we wanted to achieve something, and we didn't want to be average, you know. Why do you want to be another fucking average recruitment company? You know, there's enough shit ones out there, and there's enough bang average ones. Why bother with that? You know, and we kind of had a unique. It wasn't me. It was all of us. We had an amazing team of people that wanted this, and I always liken it to like, if you're authentic and you tell people what you want to achieve, and they feel that too, magic can happen. You don't need to manipulate them. You don't need to be clever. Just tell them, this is what I want to do. And people go, I quite like to do that. And some people won't want to do it. And that's cool. But the ones that do, and it amplifies, and you get this, like, it just starts dancing. And you get this, like, I also, that's what I was going to say. So I always like it's like Mo Farah. Like, if I wanted if Mo Farah's putting together his training camp, right, you've got to run fast. Because Mo Farah wants to win an Olympic medal, or certainly
he wants to whisper next to you.
And if I turned up, he'd go, what the fuck are you doing here? I'll be like, he says, you can't run fast enough. And that's fine. Mo Farah should be not choosing people that can't run fast enough. And he should have standards that say, if you want to run with me, you got to run, buddy. And because I'm winning an Olympic gold, and we were going for that Olympic gold, and we had a team that knew that we were going for that Olympic gold. And whether we were the fastest or not, or whatever, we were contributing, we were doing our bit. And as a team, we were going to win. And that was great.
Did you focus on team targets or individual goals? Because I learned a lesson a long time ago that I think I said once, wouldn't it be great if we get to 10-minute EBIT, whatever number? And I basically had my manager say to me, it's like, what does that mean to me? It's like, sorry, 100%. I want all of you to generate 2 million quid into that pot minimum. Not you need your London contract, that's 4. But everybody else, 2 million quid a piece. And then you will earn this. And we had to break it down to the individual because actually nobody gives a shit. It's nice to have, it's a badge, but everyone was actually pretty much self-interested. Did you break that mold?
Well, I think what you had was a genuine team of people that had self goals. And I look at some of them, and some of the best performers, and they were selfish bastards. And they made my life a misery because I want more. But they were brilliant. And they set the standards, and then it meant the team could aspire to be like these people. So we had every base covered. I think, probably over, like every recruitment company, probably over targeted and over rewarded and all these things. But you can't have an effective team if the individuals aren't bought into themselves. It's like you've got to have self-pride in what you're doing. You've got to care about your job. It's like, do your bloody job. And it's like, and then if you've got somebody alongside you, you said about Chelsea, think of John Terry and Gary Cahill. That was a brilliant defensive partnership. They're probably mates. They're probably good mates. So like whatever, or they certainly you imagine they would get on. When they speak to each other on a football field, it's like, fucking do that, go there, do that, get out, do this. It's not because he hates him, it's because he wants to win and he needs to help him. And so when you're working in that team environment, this is what we had. People would be like, get on the phone. People said to me, Dad, come on, get on the phone. Come on, Dad, stop. They moved me at one point, Nigel and Speedy, and I said, Dad, can you move because you're a distraction to us? And we had about 10 people in the office, and it was like, I was the guy who owned the business, and they were that's what they want. They weren't going to let me or anything else stop their chance of success. And I
love that. But you mentioned something there that I thought was really interesting. Different folks for different strokes, but they all contribute towards the same goal, and people work differently. In terms of diversity, I'm not a big fan of aiming for diversity. I think it should be something that happens naturally. I don't matter how you keep up with Mo. I don't care how you run. You could run like what's his name, Johnson, or you could run like Wells or Bolt, or however you run differently. But as long as you get there, and it doesn't matter your backgrounds, your ists or your isms. I couldn't give a shit as long as you contribute to the pot, but you do your thing. I don't like the sort of proactive discrimination or anything like that. Did you purposely try to mix the team up, or did you just brought the best people, meritocratic, and it just happened?
The only time I did it, and I didn't make the decision on it, but I felt I wanted, was with Amy, and I did. I felt it needed a different energy at the top. We had a lot of guys in that top space, and I wasn't looking for another me. I had done what I could do. We didn't need a Darren Mark II. We needed something different. And what was different, and so if you talk about diversity and difference, that she was different in that regard. But look, we also had a number of brands, and we had one day having a chat with somebody, and they were like, Darren, do you know that the guy that runs this brand is gay? The guy that runs this brand is black. The guy that runs this brand is mixed race. The CEO of the company is female. The managing director of this brand is female.
You've got left-handed. You've got them all. Gingers.
And it's like, and you're just like, and I'm like, I didn't even know. I didn't even think about it. Like, why would I think about it? I was like, and they told me, and it was like, and somebody, one of the guys I work with, I was really proud actually. It was one of the. He said, Darren, he says, you are the destination. He said, you just will choose people because they're right. And Katrina, my latest ex-wife, she still says
4-2, 3-2. Sorry. Shit. Brilliant.
and she said, Darren said, one of the things that she knows about me is like, I pick people for roles. So she said, your mate that you go to the pub with, it doesn't matter that he's crap at doing his job, or it doesn't matter that the person that you go and watch Chelsea with, it doesn't matter that they're whatever or this. She said, and the same in the work. So she said, because you choose them for that, and you don't care about everything. You know, obviously you want to be good people, but that's my. I'm playing the football team. I want a good footballer next to me. I don't care if they can do algebra. It's irrelevant to me. And again, I think that's something I always have kept very simple. I'm like, that's the best person for that. The end.
Do you know, we're very similar. If you think about that S3 family, Sri Lankan, Nigerian, Jewish, Sri Lankan, German, Irish. I mean, what a bag of female. It just didn't matter.
And it was never a discussion.
Never came up.
I mean, obviously it was a long time ago, and so diversity wasn't as a discussion point when I was there. But it was never even. It wasn't even introduced to us in any concept. It was just it was. And everyone was happy with it.
Good people just always live in a meritocratic environment, and I think recruitment is the most meritocratic environment. Can I move on from that? Brilliant insights, and we're very similar. I think we're both very difficult to live with, and women generally tell us, and for punishment, we give them houses. Can we just talk about leaving? Because I know that when you were there, you started talking to people about mental health. I think it was born by some of the stress and pressures that you were going after. It's probably the thing that Hapstar was born out of. Well, actually, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Tell us about mental health. Big thing.
Yeah, well, I'm not a doctor, and I don't really feel qualified to talk about. I can talk about me and the journey I've been on and how I felt and that, any relevance that might carry. But we all have mental health. And look, at the moment, I think it's an overkill. I've got to be honest. I think it's overkill on mental health. I think we're in danger of taking some big issues and making light of them by allowing everything to be covered by this umbrella. And I think that's very dangerous because it stops the attention going where it needs to be. And
everyone's making noise about it. You're not actually going to spot the person who actually needs your help.
Exactly. And
yeah,
look,
totally
somebody feels a bit tired and had a bad day because Coronation Street was a sad episode or whatever. That's not a mental health issue, right? But people will phone up and go, "Oh, I'm struggling," and I see it. And look, I'm somebody who's been through this and whatever. But there still needs to be some self. And you get other people like they're like drinking too much. So like with beer now, you're like drinking too much, so you go out and do drugs. And they're like, "Oh, I can't come in," or whatever. It's like, well, it's not mental health. You're just doing these things that's not helping you, sort of thing. But anyway, look. So I think it's good that people are talking about it, and I think it's really good that. But I do think we're at a point whereby we really need to think about just people need to take some responsibility for themselves, and then people need support when they need support, and I think the support does need to be there. I mean, like I said, I went, and it was like it was time to go, but where I think that the Hapstar business sort of started. So when I was going through this tough period, I was sat there, and again, it's back to that kind of, I don't want to die, and I literally, I was quite struggling, and I love my kids. I love my kids so much, and I certainly didn't want to do anything dumb and leave them in a spot. So I didn't want to do the things that I was thinking of, but I just didn't like myself. I was like, how can I do this? How can I upset my wife? How can I upset my kids? What kind of person am I? What am I doing? And then that reflects into everything. You start doubting everything. I'm not a nice person, and then
you said that really, really powerful thing with pirates. And when you're at the school gate and you say you're a recruiter, you don't expect to get pats on the back. But when they ask you what you do, and you go, don't know.
Yeah,
It's a really difficult
it's
moment.
worse. I mean, yeah,
You've got loads of zeros in the bank.
yeah.
But
I mean, having exited, it's brilliant. It's just everyone's dream. Like, I don't think I've ever spoken to somebody who owns a recruitment company that hasn't said they did want to exit. You know, and
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm so privileged that we as an organisation achieved that goal, and the people that were on that journey, you know, we enjoyed it and we did well. But yeah, I was like, you've got some money now. That's great. But people say, what do you do for a job? And you'd be like, and you're like, oh, I don't know. and people would be looking at you like, you all right? And you're like, well, I kind of used to, and then you end up being the guy that used to do something, you know. Like, and I had no identity, and I really missed being able to say, I own a recruitment company. I was Darren from Opus. Darren from Opus was something to someone in some little world, at least to me. You know, maybe to no one else, but Darren from Opus was something to me. I was proud of that. And then I was like, I'm just Darren, I think.
Just Darren from the hood.
and I found it really challenging, like, completely lost, really lost actually, like sort of like to the extent that, I mean, I never got as bad as I was before, but you kind of like, you become a bit depressed. You're a bit like, I've lost my identity, you know. And you can see that I can't compare recruitment and what I've been through to people in the forces or people that have been, say, professional sports people, and then it ends and then they're out. Imagine these
no
guys,
routine.
yeah, these guys have like dedicated everything and they've been doing this and whatever. It's like, you know, and back to that, you know, I used to be, it's like,
I used to be Darren from Opus.
yeah. It's like, you know, and it's, yeah, so it's I can see how.
So how did the sort of spawning of what is now Hapstar, how did that come about?
So not wanting to be in a bad state, the doctor said, take some drugs. And I was like, well, do you know what? I don't think
That got me here in the first place.
But I've always been okay with it. I've always not had, like, I've been lucky that that's not been something that has ever been a problem, you know, for me. I know a lot of people suffer from stuff, but he said, and I was like, I don't really want to do that, because I'd seen some friends and people that I knew that had started taking antidepressants, and I really don't mean this negatively, but it's going to sound it. They become a lesser version of themselves. They kind of feel a little bit like zombies, and I don't like saying that, because clearly drugs has a place for something, but I didn't think I needed it. I was like, I'm going to fight my way out of this a different way. I don't want to become that dumbed. I don't think a drugged up Darren is going to be any better for Opus or his family or anything else. So I was like, right. So I was like, right, what do I want to do? What do I actually want to achieve? I want to be happier. That's what I want to achieve. So stop moaning about how I feel and what's wrong and whatever like that. What am I trying to achieve? What's the positive? I want to be happier. But how am I going to be happier? So I break my life down into different components, and people will be familiar with the wheel of life if they've come across anything like that, any life coaching stuff. Now, I didn't know what the wheel of life was at the time. I literally just made up my own wheel of life. So I literally reinvented the wheel of life. And and you know, the wheel of life's been around since Buddha. It's absolutely not something that I created. But in my moment, I fell into this needing to, and I was like, right, if I was Darren Ryemill, the business guy, because I'm quite good at business sometimes, and I was going into Darren Ryemill, the person, to fix me, what would I do? I'd be, well, I'd give myself, I'd identify what is going on. So the marketing team, the sales team, the whatever it is. And so in life, I'd be like, well, my finances and my relationships and my, my fun and recreation. Break these important things down. And then I'd score it. And I'd literally be like, well, how do I feel about that? How happy am I with my fun and recreation? And this is like a really, I think, a really amazing example of just how out of touch I was and how out of touch a lot of people are. Because I'm not a special person. I just represent other people. And other people would want to be represented by me.
No, but to be fair, I think you're a pretty exceptional person. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. I scored myself fun and recreation. Well, I don't ever have any fun. I think I scored it like 2 out of 10. And I was like, well, why is that? I was a member at a golf club. I played golf once all year. I hadn't watched a football match for 2 years. I love football. I hadn't Well, I hadn't played football because I was old, or whatever, but I hadn't watched a football match live for 2 years. Like, I would see it on the telly, but not been to a game, which I loved. And various different things. And I was like, no wonder you're not feeling like you're having fun, because you're not doing the things that you think are fun. So I was like, right. And then you set an action. So it's like score, like review, think about it, and then action. And then the action was like, go to a football match, go and play golf. And just doing the obvious things. I mean, and this applied for every aspect of my life. Start feeling happier. So my initial score was like, that I gave myself overall, maybe aggregated at 4 out of 10. After about 6, 9, 12 months of doing this, I was up at 8.6 out of 10 at this score I was giving myself. Completely unscientific, completely made up by me. But it's like, I know how happy I am. I'm the one who scores how happy I am. You know, you might look at me and think, that prick shouldn't be happy. but I know if I'm happy or not. It's like, you know, it's like, so, and so I scored.
He's from Bristol.
He's got a sky. He's a 0 forever on everything. Anyway, so then I was doing it one day, and one of the management team were like, "What are you doing?" Like, looking at me like I was a weirdo with I plotted it all out on a bit of paper, like had a little diagram, and I told them, and they went, "Would you do that with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I would." So I sort of did it with them, and they were like, "That's brilliant. I really feel better." And then I did it with someone else, and before long, I was doing like sessions of people, like with people saying, "Okay, come on in, I'll tell you what I'm doing." And somebody said, "You should make this into an app." And it's like, it's simple, really. And I think actually the strength is the simplicity of it. But what I noticed was, so I was doing it for my life, but when I was doing it for work people, we had the life, like what I call the life star, and then we had like the work star. Now the work star is effectively what you should be asking in a review. Are you happy with your job? Are you happy with your pay? How happy, sorry, I should say, how happy are you with, you know, the tasks you're doing? How happy are you with your manager? How happy are you with the incentives? Now, these are things that a good manager would be asking in a review, but few people do. They haven't got time. Now you could get this data, and then they would forget about it. Well, a number of reviews I did, sort of a bit of paper. What's your target this month? Blah, 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 blah. Out you go, and that bit of paper is probably thrown away until next month. It's like, you said you were going to do this. Did you do it? No. All right. Well, what are you doing this month? Okay, the same. And then you go, and it's just loop like that. And that's if you're good. That's if you're actually doing reviews. A lot of companies don't even do it. So this started becoming then like part of our review. And the data, you couldn't believe the data that I was getting for how people felt about their outside of life. And so you see somebody like struggling with something, like they look miserable in work. And I'd be like, bastard, giving him a pay rise, we're giving him fucking everything. Like, what more can I do for him? And he's got a serious problem like outside of work that he hasn't shared because, and you know, you're friends with this guy, but he hadn't shared it because he didn't have a platform to share it for whatever reason. But so now he could, you know, or at least if he didn't want to share it, he could work for it in his own way and identify and do something about it. So the data, so we're starting to feel like, well, we can see that people in this team are happier with these elements of their job. People in this team are happy. And it could be big things. It could be like they're happier with the company culture, or they're happy with the company strategy. Now, it could just be that they haven't been told the company strategy in this team over here. So how can they be happy about it? So, and it starts giving this data, and this data is so rich, it's real time, and you can slice and dice it. You can say like, well, actually females are happier here and males are happier here. And so I'll give you a good example of a client we've got for Hapstar, or a couple of clients. I won't name them, but in one in one business, they found that all of their female employees weren't feeling particularly happy about how they felt valued by the business. So they were like, "This is terrible," you know. And they didn't want them to feel, and so they did individual meetings, and they said, "I want you to know that you are valued by this business. The job you do is brilliant, and it's really important, and we value you." And guess what? Their happiness goes up, and guess what? That makes them do a better job. It means they're more likely to stay in their job. It means they're more likely to work harder, to get better results. And if nothing else, they're just bloody happier. So even if they're not getting any of these
we all know that happy people make you money, and a lot of people, when they say that they're unhappy or they're stressed, there's so many different elements to what makes people happy. You don't, as a business owner, you don't have to take responsibility and think it's me.
Yeah.
It's 9 times out of 10, it isn't.
Yeah, well,
us. There was so many different factors going on that they put their dog down. Nan's not well.
Yeah.
That they're having to move house. It's like there's
That's
loads.
it. And we think we can fix it because we're some business guy that wants. Well, we want to fix it. So we.
But
think,
is it our
yeah.
responsibility? It shouldn't be up to, if offering them something that they can help themselves with, it's a massive leap forward, but encouraging them to do it.
So I think that is a responsibility on the business to care for their employees and make sure their employees are as happy as they can be. And I'm not necessarily I personally think it's a moral responsibility. But even if you don't agree with the moral responsibility, there is a responsibility of the management of the business to get the best results they can for the business. And happy people get better results than unhappy people. So you've got to make sure your people are happy. They take less sick days. Like I said, they're less likely to leave. They're more productive. Every stat is in favor of you want people happy. So if you're not focusing making your people happy, you're a shit manager. Sack yourself. You're an absolute cockhead. So you have to focus on it. And we get so many people there's so much wellness washing. Everyone talks a great game in wellness. It's like, oh, we really care about our staff. Okay, well, $5,000 to put this into your company. Oh, we can't possibly afford $5,000. We just spent $10,000 on a bloody table at Ascot to go horse racing.
Yeah.
Or you've just done this, or you've just done whatever. It's like, what are you talking about? And so anyway, so what we're trying to do is make it so you get this data-rich platform that actually helps you help your staff, which helps the business. And you get some people like, oh, we've already got a package similar to this in our accounts thing, or we've got something in Workday, or we've got this. It's like, do you use it? No, but we've got it. It's like, fucking idiots. It's like, so I'm not a good salesperson anymore because this is how I talk. There's once upon a time when I didn't call all our clients fucking idiots. But the reality is that they say, not, I say there's a lot of companies that really do want to do well and embrace it. But they're more focused, rather than they're focused on how people feel, they're more focused on what they do. And it's like, we give them fruit, we give them gym membership, we give them 5 days duvet days, we give them, it's like, and does that make them feel happier? We don't know. Because you don't measure it, you don't do it. So
you should be more passionate about this subject.
Oh man. For me, it's easy because I know it worked for me. And I saw it work. In my first hand with other people. I wouldn't have bothered spending a lot of money on making this into an app. I wouldn't have bothered if I didn't think it was, if it didn't think it worked. Right? And I don't care actually if it makes any money or not. It's not the point. But if it helps people, use it.
Yeah. But I argue with it. And I think the second generation is better than the first.
Yeah.
Because I got confused with some of the points because it's spiritual. Can I ask a question about it?
Yeah.
Because you'll know the answer. Spiritual, how you fit in spiritually. Well, I don't believe in God. So is that a 0? Or shall I rank it a 10? Because I'm really happy not believing in God.
So if you're really happy, you first 10. So I'll tell you exactly where I come from. So I don't believe in God. All right? I believe in something, but I have no idea what I believe in. I've not read a book that says this is it, and I've gone, wow, that's what I believe in. And nothing like, I believe there's something. I hope there's something. Maybe some energy or something, but I don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Oh, and I certainly don't believe in any of the religions that have,
fighting all around the world.
That's not my thing. But if people do, great. I'm not saying that they shouldn't believe it. But it's how you feel. It's how happy you are with your relationship with God, or with. So when I was, when I was going to, whatever that is to you, your spirit, the spiritual side of you. So when I was going for this divorce, I was really questioning everything about myself, and I was like, do I believe? Do I need something else? Do I need to? Should I be grabbing? Am I just a bad person because I don't believe in God? And I didn't have to think about it for very long, but thinking about, and I actually ranked my spirituality for the first time ever low, probably like a 3. It wasn't because I needed to go and read every bloody religious book there was. I just needed to go, what do I think? And I thought, I think it's all bollocks. And then I was like, okay, are you happy that you think that? I'm like, yeah, I'm actually pretty cool with that. Actually, no, I'm not saying I'm
not searching.
I'm not at a utopia point, but I'm also not searching for anything. Score an 8. So just thinking about it, and again, how often we think about it? How often we sit down and go, what is my relationship? How happy am I with this? We don't. And so therefore, how can we possibly be thinking of focusing on our happiness? Everyone says to you, what do you want? What do you want for your kids? I want them to be happy. No one says, I want them to earn money or this or this. I want them to be happy. That's what everyone says. What do you do to help them, support them be happy? What tools have you given them? What importance have you put on happiness? And your kids, obviously, you don't do that. Maybe we should.
Well, I've got to be honest. Tallulah is in love with Hapstar, and she was talking to somebody the other day who said, "I'm not really brilliant at anything. I just want to be average at everything." She goes, "You just rubbish," and she got quite opinionated about it. I think Hapstar is brilliant. I think everyone should actually at least have a look at it and see if it works for them, because it's a no-brainer to put it in your business, and it's something that actually people get some value from.
Like I said, I'm biased, right? Obviously, but I'm not saying it's a sales trick. I don't need the money. I don't need Hapstar to be successful. I hope it's successful because of
It'll be good
because of what it can do. Yeah, and we had somebody, one of our clients, say, I was feeling really low. I was feeling like I was at a low point, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I started using this, and I feel better. And do you know what, that's like, it's like everything, isn't it?
That's the purpose.
Like, even if that's that one person is better. So I think that if you're a business owner and if you ain't got fucking $5,000 to spend on anything, sack yourself as a business owner.
Well, it's a shirt and a tie. Didn't it get to tell you a joke? Why did the balls? Fucking hell! Why did the bicycle fall over?
Why did the what?
Why did the bicycle fall over?
Go on.
It was too tired.
Good.
He's a good, aren't they? Absolutely smash this, right? Should we let's do this then. You've spoken for so long, we're only going to get a few games in. It was like alphabet soup. Why did the bicycle fall over?
It's too tired.
Right, Darren, there's a tea there. Can you get a tea?
You want a tea?
No, you have to. No, give it a proper tug.
Oh,
get
okay.
Tea. Get one more go. One more go. Tea! Because I can't miss this. Because literally people don't know your backstories like I do. Brilliant. We're going to lighten the mood, because we're going to lighten the mood. I told my computer I needed a break, and now it won't stop sending me vacation ads. That's bullshit. That was really shit.
Come on, one more go,
okay.
quick.
What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet?
I don't know.
Supplies! Right, tea. Literally going to shove everything in. So the idea is, obviously I am going to write a book, but it's called Alphabet Soup. It's about different parts of my life and business advice and all that shit. So, but we don't want to do that today. We want to talk to you about TV. Because you've got a face for radio, and we are going to talk about this. Where should we start? Should we start with the digital stuff that you were doing? Because basically that was you paying to get on telly. So that was like you,
desperate.
Phil Ridgewell. I mean, you guys were doing some.
It was the elite, wasn't it? It was the absolute elite.
Or should we talk about Secret Millionaire?
Yeah. So it was Secret Teacher, actually. So I don't want to. Sort of get it wrong. Get a wrong brand. Secret Teacher.
Well, let's start with the digital stuff, because that was quite funny. Because I actually watched them.
You're the only one. It's like you're the one viewer.
It just, you talk about happiness. It just made me happy because it looked so shit. And it was just one of those. Nobody felt kind of comfy with it, and it was quite a high production value. So explain what it was and how you got involved and what you wanted from it.
All right. Well, so I got contacted by a guy from the States who'd produced a series that was called Top Recruiter, and Top Recruiter basically got recruitment professionals to sort of recruit off against each other or whatever, come up with different recruitment innovations or ideas. And he contacted me, and I was completely flattered. And wow, someone loves me and thinks I'm nice. This never happened. It's like, and you know, and actually, he's a really good guy. And you know, he's very talented. I think in terms of like the cinematic effect. But ultimately, I don't think many people want to watch recruiters on TV. I think this is what we learned, that there's a surprisingly low demand for recruitment-based television.
Although there was a time that we got invited to do Channel 4, like a fly on the wall with Computer Futures, and I had all these meetings, and then suddenly the main board got to hear and called us all in and went, no.
You can imagine. It would be like the Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, yes, it would be even worse. But I thought it was quite funny. You had to pay for it. For the privilege of it.
Yeah,
as well.
so you know, again, it was sort of charmed in, and you know, do you want to be on this? And of course, you want to be on this. Like, why would you not want to be on this? It's like, this is cool, and you think you can get some exposure. I've never done anything like that before. It's a new thing, and so yeah, so I had to go. You were lined up to do it as well, weren't you? Because I can remember they were talking to me about you were potentially.
I was going to be a judge,
said, right? Okay.
At the time, and it was
because they're Karen Brady and James Caan as the judges.
And I said, I won't do it unless I'm the chair of the judging panel. And they said, no, you can't do that, but you can be part of it. I went, no, you won't. So yeah, so it was quite fun. Yeah, I take the mick that I just say it was really bad. It was just it was all right. It could have been something.
But there were some good people on there, and I met some of the best people. You know, I've set up businesses with some people. We've done investments with some people. Got brilliant friends from it. So there was a lot of good coming. But basically, mate, we spent all day drinking champagne. And it's a miracle that anyone could speak when the cameras were rolling, and they'd be like, "Right, Darren, you're on," and you're like, "What? I've just had 5 of these." It's like, you know, it was like a constant wedding reception going on in the background, and then you went on and had to try not to say something too dumb, which is sort of like I found it, I think.
So now you've sort of broken your cherry with TV. Now you're doing Secret Teacher.
Yeah, and I love that.
Did you get yourself an agent at this point? Were you going really sort of Charlie Big spots?
No, do you know? And so I must have been on someone's radar somehow. I don't know, because I used to get quite a few things put my way. Like, oh, would you be interested in, I don't know, wife swap or this? I was like, yes, 100%. To swap all of them. It was like that. No, I sort of, and I was like, no. And I was like, they were doing one where like your family went and live in another house for a bit. And I'm like, yeah, there's something pretty bad. So I was on someone's radar for something, and I was like, no. And I genuinely had no interest. I'd enjoyed doing the filming thing as a fun exercise, but I didn't want to be that. And then our marketing department said, "Dan, you've been contacted. Will you be on Secret Teacher?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know," because I just don't know about it. And then they were like, "Well, we think it could be really good for the business." And I was like, "Well, look, yeah, if you think it's positive for the business, then I'll do it. If you want me to do it, I'll do it." And it was it was tough. It was a challenging experience. To get an hour, well, it's like 40 minutes of footage in an hour Channel 4 show with the adverts and whatever. Yeah. I was on that school for 3 months. Right? And it was very
12 weeks working.
Yeah, I mean there was a half term and stuff in there, because I went skiing in half term. So bear in mind,
you come back different colour.
Yes, isn't it? I fell over, and so I had the goggles on. I fell over and I cut all my eyebrow. I had a black eye, and they were like, "What are we going to do with you?" Because obviously they need it to look continuous for 3 months. It needs to look like it's all whatever. Anyways, they patched me up. I don't know if they used anything, but of that, But it was the guys that did the TV show. They knew what they wanted. They were very, and I got frustrated with it. I walked through a door, and they go, "Can you just walk through the door again?" I'd be like, "What?" They go, "Can you just walk through the door again?" I said, I walked through I can't really walk through a door any different. It's like,
did you come through backwards?
It's like moonwalk. So I got quite frustrated with it. And in the end, I was just like, "What do you want me to say?" Because they would say, "So Darren, what do you think about this?" And I'd answer it, and then they'd be like, let me reword the question. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. I've already had 3 months, and it was like this all the time. And I was like, "What do you want me to say?" I'll say what you want me to say. And they wouldn't help me. but they knew what they wanted.
There's
to
a narrative
tell.
that wanted to come out of that.
Because they're smart people. Because they kept putting 40 minutes of me being me on there. It doesn't give the flow maybe of what they want, you know. So anyway, the kids, and it was difficult because obviously the kids kids had some challenges, and there was like safeguarding issues, and so, you know, they was tough to connect with them. And I always say, like, in the school, the kings of the school are the kids.
Right.
Then there's like the teachers, and then like it goes down, and then right at the bottom was me. I was like the temporary support worker. No one even wants to say hello to the teachers. And I found it really strange. Some of the teachers were great. Some were really, really good, right? Positive. And some people actually, morning, nothing.
No.
Like, yeah. No, look, this is, you know, it's probably the same
This is
venue.
this is between me and you, because nobody's going to see
exactly.
that.
Yes, we probably have as many people as bloody Top Recruiter. But no, so it was one of those things. I did enjoy the whole thing. And then when it was done, I was really pleased. It was like running a marathon, you know, it was that kind of, I was like, glad I did that. I'm glad I did that. And it was good.
It was very cool. Let's go back to the 18. Let's go back in time. You're quite old. We have to go back again. Do it again. do it again. Now you're an 18-year-old Duke. If you could whisper in the ear of you at 18, what advice would you give you?
Oh, bloody hell, that's a good one. Probably get emotional now. I get emotional about this sort of stuff, saying soft like this.
I know, cry. I'm all right with that.
It's good for the ratings if you cry.
Yeah, it's right.
I'd probably just go, it's going to be all right, mate. I think it's going to be all right, mate. And like, just, you know, have a go.
Do you live in fear? Are you just like driven by fear of failure, or is it?
I don't know. I don't know. So.
Is that imposter syndrome? Or?
I don't really believe in imposter syndrome, but everyone these fucking days say they got it. Some idiot said they had imposter syndrome, so now everyone's got imposter syndrome. It's like David Beckham come out once and said, "Oh, I got OCD. I have to stack my glasses." Within a week, everyone had OCD, and it was like, and it's the same with imposter syndrome. Someone goes, "Oh, you feel uncomfortable when you're doing new things and you're out of your comfort zone." That's what it is. That's feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's not imposter syndrome. Is not feeling uncomfortable. This is the mental health thing. There are people that are chronically crippled by this, and I just find it disgusting that everyone could just throw it out there and say, "Oh, I was in a meeting and I didn't know what to say. I had imposter syndrome." No, you didn't. You just didn't know what to say. It's like, so anyway. So that's no. So, but
just put your arms around you and say it's going to be all right, son.
Yeah, I think all of us, as we're growing up, men in particular, you kind of don't really know who you are. And I can speak for myself, but other friends I've spoken to, and you're finding yourself, and you're desperate to find yourself, and you're desperate to be all right or good or something, and you kind of like miss it a bit. And you're like, my 20s were kind of a mess, really, because I had no gravity. And then 30s, and now you're in your 40s, I don't know if you just give up and don't give a shit anymore, but you kind of like, it's all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you just enjoy the ride. Just have fun. That's what I say, just have fun.
All right. So you're 18 still. It's Friday night. What would you be doing on a typical Friday night when you're 18?
Well, sadly, so I'd be in the pub getting pissed. And I played for Bristol Rovers, and we played Saturday mornings. And, I went out.
Did you just chuck that in?
No, I was under 19, only youth team. So, but anyway, so I played Saturday mornings. I would go out every Friday night getting pissed. I knew I wasn't good enough to make it. Anyway, one night I went out, got smashed, and we had Plymouth away the next day. And one of our coaches, who I love the guy, and I really respect him. One of our coaches was out at this event that I was out at pissed. I turned up the next day. We drove down to Plymouth. And I think I'd been captain the week or something like, you know, I certainly was doing well. I was certainly playing. I'm like, "Dad, don't bother getting changed today." I was like, shit. And I looked at Roger, and he kind of looked at me, and that was the beginning of the end of that.
So it's lads.
Yeah. I loved it. You know, that was fun. That was fun days, wasn't it? You know,
Brilliant. We're going to wrap up here because we've got so much footage and so much great content. I don't want to devalue or belittle anything that you've done because it's brilliant content. Can I just say thank you? You come from Bristol today.
No, I'm being up in London anyway, but I could say I come from Bristol if it makes it more important.
Yeah, say that.
I come all the way from Bristol.
My Barbara. Thank you very much for giving up your time for little old me. Your humbleness your brilliance overshadows your humbleness because it's obvious that you're a very smart guy. So thank you. But with all my guests, I love to give you the famous last words. So if there's something you'd like to say to the audience that's bigger than that recruitment dross show that you once did, what would you? Can I just say we are ranked 40.
Number 41 in the Czech Republic today.
Yeah, we are smashing it.
Hey, I got some Czech fans. There's probably, and I'm Czech fans. I'm single.
Oh, this won't go out till January, so things could change.
Oh yeah, I'll be remarried and divorced again.
We both got form. What would you like to say to the world?
Well, sorry that I've wasted your time, and hopefully I said something interesting. But look, just everyone be happy. Everyone try to have fun, enjoy the ride, and just play and just be happy.
Brilliant. Darren Ryemill, you've been an absolute delight. Thank you, James, as always. Gary Goldsmith from Pints Of View. Peace and love out. See you soon.